Hello! Pete's Packs here, and we're back with our Commander case. So we actually got 2 cases of Commander decks. Only 2 Commander decks this time around. Probably going to open the Energy one today. Yeah, because we have Eternal Might, which is the Esper one, and Living Energy, which is the Teamer one. So I have heard these are especially well designed comparatively. And this camera keeps yellowing really bad. If anyone knows how to prevent that from happening in for autofocus, I would love to know, because this thing drives me crazy. But let's see what's in this thing. Huh. They have changed the box design yet again. This one has a rip cord on the side. Desparked but re-energized. Okay. It's a reference to the Omen Path stuff. Got our Collector Booster Sample Pack, which we'll open all 8 of these in their own video later this week. Then there's this whole insert that kind of comes out. That's different. Deck box. And a different... Oh, instead of a fold-out, it's a little pamphlet that folds out. So we've got Saheeli, Radiant Creator, with some really cool art there. See an overview of the magic colors, Living Energy, and then an overview of the deck. That's a thing. And we have a semi-themed deck box. It is still the fold-up tuck box. Okay, not bad. And let's see, they've drastically changed this. It uses much less material than some of the previous iterations of boxes. Let's see, this is definitely a single cut and fold. Interesting. Down to 6 tokens, or 6 counters rather. No punch-out tokens this time around, and it folds flat. Huh. So, more cost savings there. And we have our deck. Okay. Let's pull in, see if we can get the white balance to work a little better. Still pretty far off. There we go. Just had to try it a bunch of times. Let's see the star of the show, the actual deck. There's a cutout there. There we go. Okay. Alright, so we have our face commander, Saheeli, Radiant Creator. 1 green, blue, red, so Teamer colors. For 4/4 legendary human artificer, or artificer. You can argue in the comments which is which. Whenever you cast an artificer or artifact spell, you gain an energy. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, create a token that is a copy of target permanent you control, except it is a 5/5 artifact creature, in addition to its other types, and has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So, funny thing about this, you can copy a land with that. Definitely some interesting stuff you can do there. Next we have our second face commander, Pia Nalar, Chief Mechanic. So Pia is, of course, Chandra Nalar's mother. So Naya, or not Naya, Teamer colors. Green, blue, red for 2/4 legendary human artificer. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle artifact token named Nalar Aetherjet with flying and crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent this way. Interesting. And already starting to bend. That's fun. Territorial Aether Kite. Let's see. 4 red for 6/5. Cat Dragon. Cat Dragon with flying and haste. Whenever this creature enters, you get 2 energy. You may pay 1 or more energy. When you do, this creature deals that much damage to each other creature. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Kind of neat art, too. Nissa, World Soul Speaker. That's kind of funny. If you know, you know. Let's see. 3 and a green for a legendary creature, Elf Druid. 3/3. With landfall, whenever a land you control enters, you get 2 energy. You may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you cast. Okay, that's kind of busted. I could see this actually being used for a legacy energy deck. Wonder if that'll happen or not. Pima Trailblazer. 2 and a green for a 3/3 Elephant Warrior with Trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get that many energy. Exhaust, pay 6 energy, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature, then draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Activate each exhaust ability only once. Now there is a green card in Aetherdrift that lets you play exhaust abilities more than once, but only once per turn. So that would be interesting along with this. Rampaging Aetherhood. 4 and a green for 4/4 Snake Hydra with Trample and Ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get an amount of energy equal to this creature's power. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. Okay, so it's an energy battery. That's pretty cool. Oh. Adaptive Omni Tool. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Equip 3. That's kind of cool. I wish it cost 1 so we could tutor it up with Urza Saga, but I understand why they didn't. Still might be viable in Legacy. Probably not, though. Aetherflux Conduit, 6 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you get an amount of energy equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Okay. Tap, pay 50 energy. Draw 7 cards. You may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. While that is a really neat reference to Aetherflux Reservoir, I don't think that is a terribly viable card. I may be proven wrong by that. Aetheric Amplifier. 3 mana artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. 4, tap, choose 1. Activate only as a sorcery. Double the number of each kind of counter on target permanent, or double the number of each kind of counter you have. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Stridehanger Automaton. 3 mana, 1/4 artifact creature construct. Thopters you control get +1/+1. 1 or more artifact tokens would be created under your control. Those tokens plus an additional 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying are created instead. See, this would have been really cool to have in the main set. Like, this is just neat. And it harkens back to... several of these harken back to the original Kaladesh, which is now a Vishkar. So the original Kaladesh set. The plane itself is called a Vishkar now. Chain Reaction. 2 red, sorcery. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's a neat sweeper. Chaos Warp. Nice reprint. 2 and a red, instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Could be anything, even the permanent you shuffled. Druid of Purification. 3 and a green for a 2/3 human druid. When this creature enters, starting with you, each player may choose an artifact or enchantment you don't control. Destroy each permanent chosen this way. That has some fun politicking to it. Chromatic Lantern. Ooh, that is a really nice reprint. This had been creeping up in price a little bit. Nice to see a new art as well. 3 mana artifact. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then this also taps for 1 mana of any color. One of the decent 3 mana rocks. Duplicant. 6 mana artifact creature shapeshifter. It's a 2/4 by default. With imprint, when this creature enters, you may exile target non-token creature. As long as a card exiled with this creature is a creature card, this creature has the power, toughness, and creature types of the last creature card exiled with it. It's still a shapeshifter. Very nice. Ooh, Academy Ruins got a reprint. That's spicy. Academy Ruins, legendary land. Tap for a colorless. 1 and a blue, tap, put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. This combos really well with Mindslaver, of all things, which also recently had a reprint in Thunder Junction. So, that's pretty fun. Aether Squall Ancient. 5 blue for 6/6 Leviathan with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get 3 energy counters. Pay 8 energy, return all other creatures to their owner's hands. Activate only as a sorcery. This was a really fun top-end closer for the energy control deck when this was back in Standard. Alright. Aethertide Whale. 4 blue for 6/4 whale with flying. When this creature enters, you get 6 energy. Pay 4 energy, return this creature to its owner's hand. It's kind of a neat little reference back to Palancron. Alright, Confiscation Coup, which of course itself is a reference to Confiscate. The art even looks very similar. 3 blue sorcery. Choose target artifact or creature. You get 4 energy. Then you may pay an amount of energy equal to that permanent's mana value. If you do, gain control of it. Keep in mind the target is independent from gaining the energy. So, just a neat little thing there. Disallow. This was a fantastic counterspell when it was in Standard. It would have been really nice if they had just reprinted this into Standard, but oh well. 1 blue instant. Counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Mana abilities can't be targeted. Very fun. Midnight Clock. 2 and a blue for an artifact. Tap for a blue. And then 2 and a blue, put a counter on this artifact. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a counter on this artifact. When the 12th hour counter is put on this artifact, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7 cards. Exile this artifact. The self-reference feels kind of weird with this, because the original version says Midnight Clock each of those times instead of this artifact. 1 with the Machine. 3 and a blue sorcery. Draw cards equal to the highest mana value among artifacts you control. Very nice. Especially cool with something like, what is it? The Mycosynth Golem. The golem that gives your artifacts affinity for artifacts. Which is pretty cool. It's an old fun one, which is an 11 cost, if I remember correctly. Sai, Master Thopterist. This was a fantastic finisher for a while. It's kind of fallen off in Modern, and also in Legacy, where it was mostly played, but still a fun card. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary human artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. 1 and a blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. Thopter Spy Network, another one that was absolutely just so much fun when it was originally in Standard, but 2 blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. I loved this card when it was standard, when it was in standard originally. Blasphemous Act. 8 and a red, sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. Just a good sweeper. Should be in most red decks at this point, if they're intending to play a longer game. Combustible Gearhulk, another card that I loved in standard. 4 red for a 6/6 artifact creature construct with first strike. When it enters, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If that player doesn't, you mill 3 cards, then this creature deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. Sometimes that just blew up in their face. On multiple occasions, I've milled 15, 18 mana worth of cards off of this creature. Multiple times I've just one-shot an opponent because they didn't want me to draw 3 cards. Lightning Runner. 3 red for a 2/2 human warrior with double strike and haste. Whenever this creature attacks, you get 2 energy. Then you may pay 8 energy. If you pay, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, if you can generate enough energy, you can just keep attacking. So, kinda cool. Pia and Kieran Nalaar. Another card that is fantastic in standard. It's pretty great in modern for quite a while too. But 2 red for a 2/2 legendary creature human artificer. When Pia and Kieran Nalaar enters, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. And then 2 in a red, sacrifice an artifact. Pia and Kieran Nalaar deal 2 damage to any target. Very nice. Aetherwind Basker. 4 green for a 7/7 lizard with trample. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, you get an energy for each creature you control. So this plus the thing that gives you more combat steps can be pretty strong. Pay an energy, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Very nice. Architect of the Untamed. 2 and a green for a 2/3 elf artificer druid with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you get an energy. Pay 8 energy, create a 6/6 colorless beast artifact creature token. Nice. Bootlegger's Stash. Oh, man. I remember how everyone thought this card was going to be super expensive, and then it just went nowhere in Streets of New Capenna. 5 and a green for an artifact. Lands you control have tap, create a treasure token. Elder Gargaroth. Oh man, this was a fun one too. 3 green for 6/6 beast with vigilance, reach, and trample. Whenever this creature attacks or blocks, choose one. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token. You gain 3 life or draw a card. Aetherworks Marvel. Man, this was the menace for the latter half of Kaladesh Standard. I hated this deck, to be completely honest. I hated playing against this deck. It's a 4 mana legendary artifact. Whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard, you get an energy. Tap, pay 6 energy, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So generally they would play an Eldrazi off of this. And they could do it as early as turn 3, I believe. It's been a while since I've thought about this card. It was either turn 3 or turn 4. I think it was generally turn 3, but and that deck was a menace. Conjurer's Closet. 5 mana artifact. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that creature to the battlefield under your control. Just a fun blink card. Does some really silly stuff. Alright, next up, Cultivator's Caravan. 3 mana, 5/5 artifact vehicle. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, then crew 3. This was a threat and a mana rock. It was fantastic in vehicles. It was fantastic in just about everything you could play it in at the time. when it was in Standard. Panharmonicon, another card that just spawned a menace of a deck. 4 mana artifact. If an artifact or creature entering causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. This and the Gearhulks were silly. This and a number of things was just absolutely silly. Retrofitter Foundry. Card that was so much fun in Legacy for quite some time. Still shows up every now and then. 1 mana artifact. Pay 3, untap this artifact. 2, tap, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. 1, tap, sacrifice a servo, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and then tap, sacrifice a Thopter, create a 4/4 colorless construct artifact creature token. So, it's a fun card. It's a strong card. You don't see it as much as you used to, but still, great card. Solemn Simulacrum. Oddly enough, this was also the Buy a Box promo for this set. I think it was. It's either for this set or for Foundations. Pretty sure it was for Aetherdrift. 4 mana, 2/2 artifact creature Golem. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. When this creature dies, you may draw a card. This was amazing when it was in Standard originally back in Mirrodin. And it's always just been kind of good. It's colorless ramp and card draw. Triplicate Titan. It's a 9 mana 9/9 artifact creature golem with flying, vigilance, and trample. When it dies, it creates a 3/3 colorless golem with flying, another one with trample, and another one with vigilance. It harkens back to Wormcoil Engine, which when it died split into smaller pieces, which would be a really cool card in this as well. Exotic Orchard. Land, tap for 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. I always want this to be Reflecting Pool, which does the same thing but for your lands. Frostboil Snarl. As this land enters, you may reveal an island or mountain card from your hand. If you don't, this land enters tapped. Tap for a red or a blue. Hinterland Harbor. Land, when it enters tapped, unless you control a forest or an island. Taps for a green or a blue. Carplusion Forest. Very nice. One of the pain lands that's currently Standard legal. Taps for a colorless, and then taps for a red or a green and deals 1 damage to you. Overflowing Basin. It's the land that, for 1, filters into blue-green. Not one of the original Odyssey ones, but still pretty cool. Rootbound Crag. It's a land that enters tapped unless you control a mountain or a forest, and then taps for a red or a green. Sheltered Thicket. It is a mountain forest that enters tapped and cycles for 2. That was really great in M1 Cap block. And the standard that went with it. Shivan Reef. Taps for a colorless, and then for a blue or red, and deals 1 damage to you. Spire of Industry. It's almost as good as City of Brass, and in some cases it's actually better. Taps for a colorless, and then tap, pay a life, add 1 mana of any color, activate only if you control an artifact. Sulphur Falls. Enters tapped unless you control an island or mountain, and taps for a blue or a red. Temple of Epiphany. Enters tapped. When it enters, you scry 1, and then taps for blue or red. Treasure Vault. Artifact land that taps for a colorless, and then for XX, tap and sacrifice, you create X treasure tokens. Vine Glimmer Snarl. When it enters, you may reveal a forest or island from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped, and then taps for a green or a blue. And then Yavimaya Coast. It's the blue-green pain land. Taps for a colorless, and then taps for blue or green, and deals a damage to you. Very nice. Reality Shift. 1 in a blue, instant. Exile target creature. Its controller manifests the top card of their library. Right. Arcane Signet. So we all know this one by now. 2 mana artifact that taps for your commander's color identity. Lightning Greaves. Ooh, that's new art too. That's pretty sweet. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste and shroud. Equip 0. Goes well with things like Nadu. Also just good card that should probably be in every commander deck that aims to actually use its commander. Soul Ring, 1-mana artifact that taps for 2. You all know what this does by now, but it's in every commander deck for a reason. Command Tower, another one that's in every commander deck for a reason. It's a land that taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Arcane Denial. Very nice. 1 in a blue instant, counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. You draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So cool thing with this is if you have, say, a card with Storm, you can counter one of the Storm copies to draw 3 cards during your next upkeep, or during the next upkeep. Or you can just counter your own stuff to do that. Bespoke Battle Wagon. 3 in a blue for a 5/6 vehicle. Tap, you get 2 energy. Tap, pay 2 energy. Tap target creature. Tap, pay 3 energy. Draw a card. Or you can pay 4 energy to turn this into an artifact creature until end of turn. Then it has crew 4. Very nice. Era of Innovation. 1 in a blue enchantment. Whenever an artifact or artificer you control enters, you may pay 1. If you do, get 2 energy. Pay 6 energy, sacrifice this enchantment, draw 3 cards. I can't remember if this was in the original Kaladesh or not. It feels like it was, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know for sure. Glimmer of Genius. I know this was, and it was one of the better draw spells of the time. To the point where even if you weren't playing energy, you would run this card because it was just one of the better draw spells. 3 in a blue, instant, scry 2, then draw 2 cards. You get 2 energy. So 2, 2, 2. Whirler Rogue. Another great one from when it was in Standard. Played alongside Thopter Spy Network quite a bit. But 2 blue for a 2/2 human rogue artificer. When it enters, create 2 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. And then you can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to have target creature be unblockable this turn. Loyal Apprentice. 1 and a red for a 2/1 human artificer with haste. And Lieutenant. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until end of turn. Just good little supplemental card. Reckless Fireweaver. 1 in a red, for a 1/3 human artificer. Whenever an artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Really good alongside like the Mirror Retriever, Junk Diver combo. Anything that lets you recur a bunch of artifacts or just make a bunch of artifact tokens. So Manufacturing Rector, I think that's right. Goes really well with this. Attune with Aether. So good it was banned in Standard at one point. For a green, it's a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. You get 2 energy. The 2 energy was not inconsequential. This is just Lay of the Land on its own, which is an okay card, but not a great card. But getting that 2 energy was just absolutely over the top. Explosive Vegetation. 3 and a green for sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Very nice. Pima Aetherseer. 3 and a green for a 3/2 elf druid. Whenever this creature enters, you get an amount of energy equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Pay 3 energy. Target creature blocks this turn if able. Servant of the Conduit. This was another one. This was what allowed you to cast Aetherworks Marvel a turn ahead. 1 and a green for a 2/2 elf druid. When this creature enters, you get 2 energy. Tap, pay an energy, add 1 mana of any color. Rogue Refiner. Another card that made Aetherworks Marvel just absolutely busted. 1 green-blue for a 3/2 human rogue. When this creature enters, draw a card and you get 2 energy. There was also the Renegade Rallier, I think it was, that allowed you to keep getting stuff back. Saheeli, Sublime Artificer. 1 and a hybrid blue-red for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker Saheeli. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. -2, target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. This is a win condition all on its own, and shows up in Vintage Cube all the time. Roller Virtuoso, another card that just made the energy decks absolutely silly. Teamer Energy was a menace, and so was Aetherworks Marvel, which had a number of different versions. But 1 blue-red for a 2/3 Vidalcan Artificer. When it enters, you get 3 energy. Pay 3 energy, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Commander's Sphere, 3 mana artifact, tap for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and then sacrifice it, draw a card. I don't know what this does by now. It's in most commander decks. Decoction Module, a 2 mana artifact. Whenever a creature you control enters, you get 3 energy. So 2 of these plus a Roller Virtuoso, it's just infinite tokens. 4 tap, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. There's also a whole thing with the different modules together that semi went infinite. So several of these cards are sticking together. Ornithopter of Paradise. Of course, a reference to Birds of Paradise and Ornithopter. A 2 mana 0/2 artifact creature Thopter with flying. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. So basically a colorless Birds of Paradise for 1 more. Solar Transformer. 2 mana artifact. This artifact enters tapped. When it enters, you get 3 energy. Tap for a colorless. Tap, pay an energy. Add 1 mana of any color. That's pretty solid as far as 2 mana rocks, or as far as mana rocks go. Soul Guide Lantern. 1 mana artifact. When it enters, exile target card from a graveyard. Tap, sacrifice this artifact. Exile each opponent's graveyard. And then 1 tap, sacrifice this artifact. Draw a card. Really great. Can be fetched off of Urza Saga. Just all around solid card. Talisman of Curiosity. It's the blue-green talisman. 2 mana artifact, taps for colorless, and taps for blue or green and deals 1 damage to you. Aether Hub, another card that just made the Aetherworks Marvel deck. When this land enters, you get an energy. Tap for colorless, and then tap, pay an energy, add 1 mana of any color. Also made Teamer Energy possible. Evolving Wilds. Tap, sacrifice this land, search your library for basic, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. We all know what it does by now, same as Terramorphic Expanse. Frontier Bivouac. And that is how you say that, Bivouac. It is a military encampment. But land that enters tapped, and then taps for blue, green, and red. Or red, rather. Path of Ancestry. Enters tapped. Tap, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Doesn't always work, but sometimes gets some bonus. Slagwood's Bridge. Artifact land. Enters tapped, indestructible, tap for red or green. This is played heavily in Pauper and is part of the Jund Affinity deck. Tanglepool Bridge. Tanglepool Bridge. It's an artifact land that enters tapped, is indestructible, and taps for green or blue. Interesting to see that they didn't do the blue-red one, because there is one for each color pairing, if I remember correctly. And then we have our basics. We have an island. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 islands. Mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got some cool lands in these. Forests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have our tokens. We have an energy reserve token. That is also an energy reserve. It is a double-sided energy reserve token. I've never seen one of those. Normally they have something else on the back or an ad. Then we have a Thopter Golem token. A Thopter Golem token. An Alar Aetherjet Golem token. Another Alar Aetherjet Treasure token. An Alar Aetherjet Treasure token. And then a... Oh, it's a Party Servo. Hey, Party Servo. Servo Beast. Servo Beast. And a Construct Beast, 6/6 Beast on that, and a Construct Beast. Very cool. Then we have the new Foundation turn order reminder. Pretty sweet. A little inaccurate, but good enough for new players. But not bad. And then popular Magic formats on the back. This is the new one for Foundations, so we'll probably see this one for a while. Yeah, thank you. Uh-oh, knocked something over. Thank you for joining me on this adventure with Living Energy. It's kind of a cool one. Really cool Teamer Energy deck. It's giving me PTSD flashbacks from the old Kaladesh standard, but still pretty cool. It's a joke, of course, but yeah, very neat. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.